worries or stress or negativity. And just allow the sounds to cleanse and fill your body with love and light.
yourself resonate the sounds of the universe. Feeling beautiful golden, white and silver light gently cascading from the top of your head all the way through your body. Sense beautiful golden, white, silver light penetrating every cell into your physical body and also your emotional, mental, and spiritual bodies, all the layers. Feel the vibrational frequency increase and resonate at the highest level for your highest and best good. Sense that energy going all the way through your body and feel it and sense it going at the bottom of your feet as it exits. Sense it going to the center of Mother Earth, all the way down through thousands and thousands of layers, and sense that energy connecting to and resonating with the center crystal that begins all the way deep into Gaia. Feel that energy coming back up through the earth and through your feet, all the way through your body, at the top of your head, and into the ethers. And as you sense this energy going through you, from you, in all directions, be aware that you are the bridge between heaven and earth. You are the yin and the yang that connects and joins the worlds, opening your heart to this idea that we are beings of universal love and light, privileged inhabitants of this beautiful energy called Gaia, here to care for her, receive all the abundance, becoming aware, acknowledging, showing appreciation for everything that we have, our food, our clothing, our shelter, everything about our existence, all the tools that we use in our day-to-day life comes from Mother Earth, infused with the energy of universal love and light, making it complete and perfect symbiotic fusion. Opening your heart, feeling the love expand, taking in a triple breath, feeling the gentleness and the love, acknowledging our individuality, yet at the same time our parallel and complete existence and connection to a divine matrix, understanding our connection to all beings on this earth plane, human, animal, plant, rocks, earth, water. At the same time, we are connected to everything in the universe, all the distant galaxies. Our energy resonates together in unison. Saying our blessings and our appreciation. And coming back to the room, ever so gently, ever so gracefully, whenever you're ready. I'm betting we're so happy you got to sleep in an extra hour this morning. Does it make it easier when you get here? How many many people forgot to change their clocks and woke up and almost got in the shower? I'm the only one? Oh, thank you so much for being here. It's raining outside and the fall is here. This is where we're preparing for Earth to go to rest. Thank you, Seth, for your didgeridoo, your sound healing. Seth comes here the first Sunday of every month. Wasn't that just beautiful? So we're gonna, yeah, come on, you come into the inner circle if you can. So show me there's room in here. There's room. Come on in. Let's all be here together. A year ago, Avalon and I went to the East Coast and did a leaf peeping tour. And we got to witness what it felt like as Earth was coming to sleep. It's really wonderful. So anyway, where's that? Thank you, Seth. This is Tom Leonard. He's our guest speaker. Okay, hold on. I'm getting camera cues here. I'm going to spread out a little bit.
And back.
And back. Okay. All right. And roll up. Okay. Okay, here we go. So this is Tom Leonard. He's our guest speaker today. Deborah, as you all know, Deborah, who's been one of the core members of our community for several years now, has brought Tom Leonard to us, and he's going to be showing us and sharing with us these beautiful creations that he has here, selenite swords. And after I do a little bit of talking, he's going to share with us how they work and how he was inspired to create them and what they do and what you can do if you're drawn to make them part of the toolkits that you work with. So thank you for being here. So this time of year is such a beautiful, gentle time of year as we start going into rest. And the fall is a time that we start looking at harvesting all the things that we have and creating space in our homes, and the heaters start coming on and we start thinking about the holiday season. This is my favorite time of year. Is it for a lot of people? Well, there's something about it, isn't there? I think it's a time of abundance. This is also the time of year that the veil is thinnest. And I think that's not a coincidence, but this is a time when messages can come through really, really clearly. And a lot of people cross over during October and November. And there is something about the veil being very thin. And it's a time of harvest and getting ready for the rest. And so we're all busy gathering all our things for the winter. And there's a lot of changes going on. I think we're all noticing how energy is shifting faster. And is anybody else noticing that thoughts are just manifesting so much faster? And it's almost like I always guide you to govern your thoughts. And so let me just really emphasize that even a little bit more. How important it is for us to start governing our thoughts, because they're just becoming so real so quickly. And there's going to be a lot of changes happening that are just so amazing. It's almost difficult to describe, but we can all feel it. There's something unique happening. I had an event here on Wednesday, and Shelley, good friend, who's been coming to our center for a little while, and she did a beautiful herbal class on Sunday. She was our guest speaker last weekend. On Wednesday, she had an event here called the Celebration and Ceremony for El Dia de los Muertos, which is the Mexican tradition of celebrating the Day of the Dead. And the veil is thinnest, as I mentioned, in October and November, so it's a really easy time to communicate with those that have crossed over. And it was a lovely ceremony. We had a caterer here that brought all kinds of tamales and enchiladas and taquitos, and so we had fun. And we had about 10 people here, and as I sat in a circle over there, I paused and I took the time to connect with my grandparents. I don't have any children or sisters or nieces and nephews or many of my own peers that have crossed over, so whenever I do a crossover connection, I generally connect with my 4 grandparents. And we all went around in a circle and we talked about all the lovely things that we remembered about the people that we were honoring that day. And I connected with each of my grandmothers and grandfathers. And when I got to my paternal grandfather, my father's father, he was a United Methodist minister all of his life, and was very devoted in the work that he did. And when I first started connecting with him, he was of the very old biblical mind that where the Bible says we're not supposed to be connecting with people on the other side. And the biblical reference was to that, was to use them not as a source of guidance, but it didn't mean to infer that it was wrong to actually connect and talk and to feel love with them. When I first started connecting with him about 5 years ago, 6 years ago, he actually came through and said, I'm not comfortable with this. This isn't the way I believe life is supposed to be. This is against my beliefs, and I'm just not sure that this is okay for me to be talking to you. But he said, I see what you're doing, and I want to get okay with it. And throughout the years, he has become very okay with it, and I understand that he's actually one of my biggest cheerleaders on the other side, helping me with the work I do here. But he came through, and I said, you know, how are you? How are things? And he said, they're good. And he said, I want to ask you a question. He said, what's happening? He said, I can feel the shift in the universe. I can feel changes that are happening and things that are going on. And he said, not all of us understand it here on this side. And I thought that was really interesting, because we tend to think, because they're in spirit form, that they just got access to everything and they know a whole lot more than we do. And I was really surprised to hear what he said. He said, no, he said, there's a lot of stuff going on there. He said, you don't understand it all. And I realized in that moment that of course they have access to it if they ask, and if they ask for guidance. But he didn't really ask for guidance, and he actually came to me and asked me what was going on. So I said, well, look, let's, you know, it's really complicated, but why don't we call in? And I asked all of his guides and guardian angels to come in, and I saw this beautiful light come around him and around the group of people that he was working with. And he actually had a lot of his congregation with him on the other side that was still following him and going to him while he was there. And this beautiful light came around, and I saw them all turn and look. And then I backed away, and these beautiful teachers came in and told them all what was going on, the changes in the universe and the things that were happening. And it was the most incredible experience, because it would never have occurred to me that people on the fourth plane yet needed to have more education, more guidance, more love, more support. And I just saw, as I pulled away, more people gathering, and it was like thousands and thousands of souls all of a sudden got a lot of guidance on the changes that are happening here in the universe. And I went, that rocked. It was just such an unexpected thing. I thought we were just going to come in here and, you know, and send up some blessings, and people brought in pictures and favorite foods of their relatives. But I mean, I had no idea it was going to be a shift in the fourth plane experience. So, unexpected pleasures and surprises in life. So, does anybody on a regular basis talk to the people that have crossed over? They have conversations with them, and sometimes we don't always realize that they're listening, but they are. They can hear us, because usually as we think about them, we usually say their name, and we call up some feeling or some emotion related to them. You know, you can think of our grandmother's cookies, and one lady was talking about a certain cookie that her grandmother made, and I always think of pecan tarts when I think of my grandmother. That was her signature dish. That and this really awful dish called wilted spinach. You don't know. Oh yeah, and I was like pouring hot baking grease over spinach leaves. Yeah, it's called wilted spinach. Are you from the East Coast? Are you familiar with that? Do you like that dish? No?
No, I didn't like it then. She made.
Yeah, there's a lot of strange dishes they used to make in Pennsylvania, or the old Amish, old Amish traditions. Yeah. So, I noticed this week, more thoughts are manifesting, and things are happening in really bizarre ways, and I'm noticing, it happened this morning, physical objects are moving. Adam and I were talking about something this morning, and I said something, and a picture frame just like that was sitting on a table, and it just flopped down. And yesterday at our holistic healing fair, we had a picture. How many people were here yesterday? Were you here when that picture dropped? It was really bizarre. There was something going on, and this picture actually was on a shelf out there, and it flopped down and hit a lady on the head. And broken glass was everywhere. And the lady that was sitting in a session with me at that moment, when I got back and when I came out and kind of, made sure she was okay, Hideko, thank you for all the help that you gave, and everybody jumped in and was, helping out clean it up. As I got back into the session that I was in the middle of, she said, that was me. And I said, well, what do you mean? And she said, that has been happening to me in the last couple of weeks. She said, everywhere I go, things are flying off the wall and objects are breaking. And I said, well, okay, let's take a look at why that's happening. And I said, are you sure? And she said, let me check in. And I did kind of get that it was her. I kind of softened it, and I said, well, there's a lot of energy out there, and people are clearing things and moving through stuff, and energy can fly through the room. And I said, I wouldn't hold yourself too responsible, but I actually did get a confirmation that it was, a lot of her energy was in there. And she just was in this place of so much pain and anguish, and yet her psychic abilities were becoming really strong, and it was almost like things were just kind of flying out of her without a whole lot of control and discernment. So we did a lot of work on that. And that's why I'm asking you to be really careful with your thoughts and think really good thoughts and positive things. And whenever you feel a little angry or resentful or down or lonely, anything that doesn't feel that's pure love and light, pure unconditional perfection, go into your heart space. And like we do here every Sunday, where I ask you to go into your heart space and feel it expand and go out. And when you fill it up with love, that's going to transmute any negative emotions that you have towards yourself or anybody or anything, anywhere. And that is so powerful. And sometimes I remind you, but I want to keep emphasizing it because it's so important. When you open up your heart space and you invite spirit in, you affect everyone around you at levels that are almost beyond human expression. As we do it here in a group together, we are probably affecting people 2 and 3 miles, different circumferences from here, different energies. Do you notice it when you leave here? For those of you that come on a regular basis, when you leave here and you go out there, does anybody smile at you? That's your energy that you have taken the time to create, that is emanating from you in such a manner that everybody who comes in contact with you cannot help but feel warmth and love, and they smile. That's really all you have to do to be a healer these days. We have all these certification courses and tools and essential oils and crystals and pendulums, and I've got my angel cards, and which they're fun. All of our tools are so much fun, and they do help us. But more and more, these tools are not the wielders of our energy, but they are simply that which is supporting us, that is already in existence. So do use your tools, because they give you support and help. But it's not the tool that's doing the work. You are not just holding something and saying, okay, we could do work here. It's their supporting energy that's coming from you. And they're your team. But everything that's happening here in our hearts is so very strong and so perfect. I don't know about you, but I have cleared more stuff out of my system in the last month and 6 weeks. I have actually never felt so at peace. Is anybody else going through something similar? So yeah. Good yourself? Yeah. Everett came to Shelley's class last weekend and connected to the herbs that she was teaching, and your ginger now is helping. So, did you notice that you're everybody now is meeting people? It's like you need something, and all of a sudden something is just in front of you. The right teacher, the right class, the right tool. The fact that you're all here today meant that whatever I was going to have come through me to say, Seth's music, whatever Tom was going to share with us, and the DNA activation they would be doing afterwards, the fact that you're here meant that you're supposed to be. There's something here that you're going to get. It's going to make you that much more at peace, that much happier, that much better. And it kind of gets fun now. It's a lot less work when you recognize that you don't have to figure everything out. You don't have to go through that mental process. Do I do this? Do I do that? Do I take this class? Do I go here? Do I do that? How do I balance this? Am I going to have enough time? No. Just go with the flow. And you just find yourself showing up and things are written down and you just go. And it's so much easier. You just move along. And your energy just points you in the direction. And you're recognizing now that your ego does not have to be carrying the burden of all of your decisions. You can let your body decide for you. Your body came in here and ate all that ginger because it knew it was good. Your body picks the crystals. Your body picks the food. And your higher self and your guides tell you who to connect to and where to go. I love the fact that after our holistic healing prayer yesterday, apparently there's a group of like 8 of you or 10 of you that didn't want the day to end. So there's and you guys all went over there and they closed Daphne's because they didn't want to leave each other because the energy felt so good and they all made a bunch of new friends, but you just went with the flow. You were all standing there. Somebody said that it was just, you just knew it wasn't time to finish. So you all went over there and just continued. And decisions just seem to happen without even all of that mental effort. And that's where we're going to. We're moving in a time of effortless peace and serenity. It doesn't have to be hard work. And I'm noticing there are people who've been awake for about 20 or 30 years that have been doing, our sage psychic work and astrology and numerology, and they're waking up at different levels now. And there are people that are waking up like a week ago that are coming in and saying, I don't know what this place is. I've never been here. I've got somebody I'm working with right now. And he said 3 weeks ago, he thought we were people that worship stones and that he wouldn't have stepped foot in a place like this to save his life. But somebody brought him in and he connected with me and he said, I don't know what it is. He said, but I just feel like I'm supposed to be here talking to you. And all of a sudden this man is completely transformed. And yesterday he was picking up crystals on my desk going, now what is this again? That people are waking up. And a lot of people come in and they say, well, I've been only doing this for a couple of weeks, and people have been doing it years. Everybody has been woken up right when they were supposed to. Timing is absolutely perfect. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter whether you're a professional healer, whether you've been doing this a week, whether you've been doing this for 20 years. Nothing isn't as important as you saying, I get it now, I'm here now, I want to hear these messages now. There's something really beautiful out there. And we're moving into a place of integrity and brotherhood. And all of these current establishments, they're just gently, gracefully, piece by piece, just losing nothing, no drama, no sudden movements. Everything is just starting to lose its foothold and moving into a place of much better. And the transition is going to take 20, 30 years. But we'll see it in our lifetimes. I'm not planning on going anywhere. It's going to be a beautiful transmission. We're going to be witnessing something that is absolutely incredible. I am so excited. I think this is an amazing time to be alive. And all of us that came here, we're witnessing this. And we're part of it. And it's really interesting because some of the people that are coming in, they're still kind of like in their own paradigms. And I've been getting guidance that comes through that it's real Sergeant Major boot camp type of stuff. And I've been hearing messages come through to me that say, get over it, move on, show up, you've got work to do. This human experience, stop all the pain, stop all the suffering, show up now and get to work. You've got a mission to get to. And I'm like, you really want me to say that to them? But I've had a couple of people that have gotten some real boot camp talks from me. And I'm like, and I'm nervous when I'm saying this. I'm like, I'm going to get up and walk out. They're going to have me arrested. But it's really exciting, and I just invite you all to really start testing and working with your intuition a little bit more, and allow yourself to just go with it and see what happens. And allow yourself to feel your way through things. It's kind of like when you're at home, if the lights go off, but it's your home. You actually don't need the lights on. You can feel your way through your home, can't you? You know where the turn is, you know where the bedrooms are. Even reach out, 9 times out of 10, you hit the light switch right where it is, isn't it? You can feel your way through your life right now. You can navigate your way through it on your feelings. You don't need to meditate the whole way through. You can feel your path. You can feel all the people you're supposed to meet, all the places that you're supposed to go. And it's kind of like when you do have that power outage and you're navigating your way through down that hallway, it's kind of exciting, isn't it? A little bit. There's that little bit of edge on there, and it's almost like a little adventure. It's the same way. Allow yourself to take that little adventure and feel your way through it. And trust all your other senses to kick in and guide for you. And then you get this amazing feeling that you're never, ever alone. And you can feel the presence of your guides, your guardian angels, your teachers, the ascended masters that you've called in to work with you. And that feeling of being alone will go away. And you're like, I don't even remember what made sense to feel that way anymore, because it just doesn't make sense anymore. Any questions? Anybody want to share? Yes.
Just real quick, I noticed in the last couple of weeks especially, I've been seeing 11:11, like on the clock. My birthday is 3/16, which adds up to 1. So I'm seeing these numbers continuously, and I finally got online and said, okay, so what is this? You know, what does this signify? And one of the things that really struck me was that the 11:11 is a wake-up call for light workers to kind of get going with it. And I thought, geez, okay. It's just fascinating. But over the last couple of weeks, especially, I'm seeing it constantly.
Well,
I don't know if others are
Yeah.
seeing
Yeah.
that too. Yeah.
This
yeah.
Friday, which is on 11/11/11, this lovely young lady here, sitting to my right is Deborah, is going to be doing a class here. I think it's $20 or $21.
It's 21 pre-registered and it's 29 day up. It's a DNA light activation with the Ascended Masters and the collective, which is a lot of ascended beings, and also the archangels. So we'll be doing a DNA and light activation, and also just a blessings and gratitude ceremony, where we'll be creating the new earth in the now. So join us, it'll be awesome.
Yes, I will be in Sedona. I'm leaving on Thursday. Deborah's going to be doing the class on Friday night, the 11th, and she will also be substitute ministry for me on Sunday, so please come and support Deborah. But everybody hears about, 12/12/12. 11/11/11 is, it's kind of like the last wave whenever I ask about it, and then last year was 10/10/10. So I was mentioning I was on the East Coast doing that leaf peeping tour, as they call it, watching the colors change, and that was not one of the designated vortices or healthy places, or holistic healing places people had on their list to go for 10/10/10. But we drove around the East Coast, and I was watching the colors change, going from green to yellow to orange to red, which is the reverse order of the chakras, and I was watching the whole world just gently start going to sleep and to rest. And I came back after that trip and was talking about color therapy. I had no idea what it was going to be like. Audubon loves to drive, so I got to just sit in the passenger seat the whole time looking out the window. And if it was something particularly beautiful, we'd pull over and take a look. And our daughter was with us too. She just passed the bar, so she was excited. And spent a lot of time sleeping in the back seat because she was so exhausted from all the adrenaline. But we just spent 5 days, and I had no idea you could get that much healing from color, and just being immersed in those colors for 5 days and watching nature do the changes. So that was my 10/10/10 experience. 11/11/11, as we start gaining momentum, this is kind of like 11/11/11 is kind of like the final thrust of energy that's taking us into that ride into 12/12/12. And so it's actually even a more important date than 12/12/12 and for a lot of people from an energetic standpoint. So do come. Deborah's going to have that class on 7 o'clock on Friday.
7-9.
7 to 9 o'clock. If you would like to see an amazing crystal grid, Deborah takes these chairs and she moves them out. Is it going to be that big?
It's, it's even, well.
You've been activating it ahead of time.
Yeah, if you're a Facebook friend of mine, we've got some preview shots of the core grid.
It's going to be here.
It's amazing. There's rainbows and all the archangels were there when I was activating it on Friday. It was an amazing experience. So it's juicing up as we speak, and there's a lot of surprises and special energy in store for us, I'm sure.
So we move out this center altar, and Deborah creates the grid. And the one that you did for September 21st, the fall equinox, I mean, that was so large, you walked through it.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was the Unity Heart Grid.
Yeah, that was pretty amazing. So, yeah, if you don't have any plans to leave town and go someplace like Shasta or Sedona or Hawaii or Peru, as some of our people here are in Peru, Ron's in Peru now.
Yes.
If you're not going to be going someplace like that, come here, or do find some place to go for 11-11-11. Be with kindred spirits, be with people that you can really help you activate yourself and be in a group. It'd be an amazing event. So, thank you. So, Tom, tell us about these beautiful, beautiful things you have. There's a mic that you've got there if you want to use it.
It's really great to be here, and I'm from Fort Collins, Colorado, and I met Deborah at an event in Long Beach not too long ago, and it was just like the entire event was pretty slow, and I had considered the best thing that occurred was me meeting her, and because we really hit it off in terms of our interest and what we were doing with light and how we were working. So it's really great to be here. I'm very pleased. It's just a beautiful facility. And I thought I'd start how I kind of got into this. About 7 years ago, I was at a metaphysical show walking around, and I saw this a young lady, not too old, but a lady working on this gentleman's leg in the middle of the aisle with a piece of selenite. And I said, "What are you doing?" And she said, "Well, I'm repairing an injury on the inside of this person's leg." I said, "How do you know that?" She said, "I can actually see the light going into," she had this ability to see inside the body. So she said, "I can see the light going in and it's repairing this injury." I said, "Well, that is really neat." So I really got excited about that. I said, "Well, what could I do with this?" So I've always liked swords, and you might say, why a sword? A sword is the symbol for universal truth. So that's kind of why a sword. It has the ability to project the energy in different ways. So I decided I was going to try to make something out of the selenite. So I first started looking around for selenite, finding some pieces, and I got some Utah selenite, I think, first. And I worked on making the sword, and it fell apart. I couldn't figure out what's going on here. This isn't working very well. So it took maybe about 4 or 5 months to actually find the right selenite, and it turns out to be that the right selenite was Moroccan selenite, and that's what this cathedral in the center is, Moroccan selenite. Somehow it has the way it's formed is a little different than what comes out of the United States or Mexico, New Mexico. So I found some selenite. I made 4 swords, and I was really excited because the energy was really great with these swords, and I had put a few other crystals on, 1 or 2 of them, and it felt just fantastic. So at that time, I had been studying with a teacher named Sai Ma, who is located a lot in Colorado. So I said, well, I'm going to make a couple sword for her. So I had 4 swords, and I said, I'm going to give her one. So I went to this event, and there were about 550 people in Vail at this particular event. So I went up to her room, and I gave her the sword, and she grabbed hold of it, and she says, I remember this. She didn't exactly say from where, but she said, I remember this. She says, well, I want another one. I said, okay. So I gave her another one. So then she had 2, and that night, let me pull this out. That night, this is actually a picture of that. That night, she did a activation where she brought in Archangel Michael with the swords, because that was really kind of the first, I think, the angelic being, you could pass that around, the angelic being, and those are actually the first 2 swords. Those were the swords that was from that event. So she did this really great activation and brought in Archangel Michael in front of about 550 people, and it was really exciting. And
because we know he likes swords.
Yes, he likes it. You know, that all the pictures of Michael, he has a huge sword. I haven't figured out how to. selenite only comes to about 20 inches. I'm waiting to find a piece about 36 inches so I could really have a really big one, but big sword. So the next time I saw Sai Ma, I was at a satsang in Boulder in the spring, and she looked over to me and she said, "I want 100 of those swords." I said, I still only had 2. I had 2 left, and she had 2. So she said I wanted them for this next event in Bryn Mawr, which is out in Pennsylvania. So I worked to try to find the material. I found the material. I did make about 95, I think I had made, and went to the event, and we had them in the bookstore there. And we sold about, I think, 85 or 80 of them. And they were just a really big success. And then Sai Ma started using them for other activations. So we started selling them in the bookstore. And the great thing about these events is people came from all over the world. So I ended up with swords in everywhere: France, all over Europe, South America, Canada, Japan, Australia, New Zealand. So that's been a really good thing. And then maybe about 4 years ago, Sai Ma decided to start using the swords in personal healings called personal sessions that she does. And so she started using them, and that's further kind of accelerated the progress of the swords getting out there. But why, you might say, why selenite? Why a sword made of this particular crystal? And the reason is this particular crystal has its main metaphysical property is it brings fifth dimensional light into the physical body. And it's probably the strongest crystal out there for doing that particular function, bringing light into the physicality. I don't know if you've ever read anything by Katrina Raphael, Crystalline Transmission, where she talks about that selenite is going to be the key, probably the key crystal to help bring in the age of enlightenment because of this one quality. The other quality is that it has a really tremendous angelic connection. It's also connected to the Pleiadians. The #1 crystal for the Pleiadians is besides, and also Lemurian crystals, is selenite. So what happened is, as I've been making these year after year, occasionally Sai Ma, she'd call me up and say, "There's going to be some new energy coming through. You'll know what to do." I said, "Okay." So I figure out, and every time I make a batch of swords, the energy changes because I add things. Things have been added. So I thought I'd just let you know a little bit of some of the things that have been added to the swords that now are really have accelerated their energy, their connection with other ascended masters and other angelic beings. So it's really been exciting, this progress of the energy, because when it started out, the first swords I made in the handle, I put a lot of things in the handle, but the first swords had 2 pictures of Archangel Michael and a little bit of something called yagnash. Has anybody ever heard of yagnas? No one? Have you heard of sacred fires? Okay, so the different sacred fires are done by a wide variety of, I think, maybe spiritual, religious type endeavors. So a yagna, the ones that I've been getting the ashes from, are done by pundits in India. And they literally, they have a big fire pit, and they do offerings into these fires where they put seeds, honey, flowers, everything really nice. And they say mantras as they're doing, and then they offer the offering into the fire. And then the fire is burning for hours, and they're doing this over and over again for different, bringing in different angelic divine beings, gods, goddesses in their tradition. So then what I would do is get the ashes from the yagnas, and I would put them in the handle. So I started getting more and more yagnas, and the strongest yagnash I've gotten was the 2010 Kumbh Mela in Hardwar, India, right on the Ganges River. And it was a 2-month celebration where about 65 million people came, and they were doing these yagnas all day, all night, for days and days. So I had the opportunity to get those ashes, and they're in the sword. Another thing, I don't know if you've heard of Sai Baba, but Sai Baba in Puttaparthi is he's passed over, but he manifested vibhuti, he had vibhuti available for people to get in Puttaparthi, and I had that, and it was kind of interesting. He waited till after he passed to allow me to put them into the sword. So finally, I was able to put the vibhuti into the sword. Now that's in the handle. And what I do, you can look at the handle. You see some material there. That's all these things I'm talking about now are epoxied into the handle of the sword. So that's been adding more and more sacred type items to the swords. In terms of pictures, I just show you now. I started out with 2 pictures, and now there's over 150 pictures of various masters, symbols, goddesses, Mother Mary, Master Jesus. All these great beings their pictures are actually in the handle of the sword. And then what happened about several months ago is I started to put crushed Lemurian crystals into the sword, which that's really created a great shift with the swords.
That's in the handle part?
Yes, they're crushed and in the handle, and also the other thing that I've been putting, there are 2 ingredients I think that really changed, and I'll talk about what the energy's been doing, but the other thing that I put in the sword was a bottle of water from all these sacred sites around the world. And that water comes from 4 locations on the Ganges River. Mount Kailash, I don't know if anybody has heard about Mount Kailash in Tibet. Only about 1,500 people ever get there per year, so it's quite a remote place. And I actually have water from Lake Manasarova, which is reported to be the lake that Shiva actually bathes in. So the water is quite pure and has a very sacred quality. Also, Mother Mary's Spring in Lourdes, Mount Shasta in the United States, a glacier in Banff, Canada, Lake Titicaca in Peru, Tipon in Peru. Well, it's actually on the Bolivia side, but it's in Lake Titicaca on the island of the sun. There's a spring of immortality also. I have that water. So all these sacred waters are in, and then I put magnetic, actually magnets on both sides of the water, which actually then assist in creating scalar waves out of the sacred water, this is in the handle. So what's started to happen, and it's really been exciting, is right before I met Deborah, I would be working with a person, say sitting in a chair with the swords, and suddenly this sphere of light would descend and be right there. And it changed the environment right around where it was occurring, and the person sitting there, even if they didn't have much energy experience, would say, "Hey, I really noticed that. What happened? What's going on here?" And then what I was seeing was that this light ball, and then they start getting brighter and brighter and brighter, and then you could see the aura around them getting very bright. Different people, a little different experience, but basically, 5th dimensional light descended or appeared when using the swords, and the people were having this tremendous light experience. So that's what happened right before I met Deborah. So we had, the show we were at was the Alchemy Conference, and I don't know what much alchemy was going on, but when we got together and we started working with this, it was like really great. The energy, I think we were lighting up the whole room with what we were doing. So that was... Oh, yeah. Great. Yeah. So it was really exciting what's been happening. And so what people have seen with these swords is, some people see, selenite gives off a rainbow light. So it gives off all the rays. So literally the 7 rays are all involved. The masters of the 7 rays are involved with these swords now in bringing out the knowledge and how to use them and what to do with them and who to bring in, and the activations to do. They're doing just really can be used to do great activations. The other thing when we talk about the water, which is really kind of interesting, I'm sure you've all heard of Emoto in Japan, who's done the water research. Okay, one of the main experiments that he did was testing water and seeing what different words do to the water. That the water actually has consciousness and it reacts to what's said to it, what's written on it, what's thought about it. So basically you can take the premise that when you say you have gratitude and you have love, it creates these beautiful crystals in the water. And if you say you fool to water, or you're no good or bad, there's no water crystals, or they're very distorted. Amazing. And if you think, okay, now you think about us. We're 70% water, and we're crystalline inside, crystalline structure. DNA is all surrounded by water. And if we think, you were talking about thinking a negative, negative thoughts, you have to watch what we're thinking. It's exactly true, because the crystalline structure of our own water in our body gets damaged. Therefore, we can't resonate, we can't give or receive. So the real blocks to our abilities, our healing capabilities as healers, or just healing ourselves, our blocks are really all in our thought patterns. What we think, how we think, what we think about. So if we, in a sense then, if you look at where am I and where do I want to go, the only block between us and our goal is this negative talk inside of ourselves, is we're unworthy, I don't deserve it, I'm angry, I'm jealous, I'm whatever. All of these emotions create a response that damages the crystalline structure of your body. So if we want to bring in and hold this fifth dimensional light, then we need to remove that, work on that. And what I found is that the swords have this really great additional quality to transmute negative emotions out of your system. You just have to say, I give it up. So what happens is in our chakras, we tend to store negative items, like in our solar plexus, we store fear. So fear, but it can be fear from this lifetime, it can be fear from multiple lifetimes. Multiple lifetimes that we've lived and had fearful experiences has been stored in our solar plexus, so we can transmute that. In our heart, pain, we store pain from any kind of loss, whether it's this lifetime, another lifetime. Pain can be transmuted. All we have to do is say we give up the pain. We release it.
Can you tell us the best way to go about using these, whether you're
Well,
a professional healer or just...
let's see, how are we doing? Is it...
well, we want to have time to do the activation and then the final meditation, so you have 5 minutes?
Okay, so what I was going to do is Deborah and I were going to work through the chakras just quickly and just kind of give you an experience, and we can do that in a group, because the swords, it's powerful enough to use 1, 2, 4 swords, and the activation, you can feel it. Now we can do these individual activations where we'll work on bringing in that light body if you'd like to stay around after the event, and we're going to move into the other room while they set the room up for the dance, ecstatic dance program. So how you work on the chakras is, the other great thing about the swords is they work on all the energy matrices of the body, or your system. And that would be everything from the physical body, the glands, the blood,